Hello, and welcome to another episode of Namaste, y'all. I'm Dr. Stephanie Boyce, and I'm so excited to have you join me for this episode. Today, I'm going to talk to you about my journey to losing 41 pounds. And a lot of y'all slide in my DMs and be like, sis, you looking good. Tell me what you did to lose that weight. Like, I just lost it real fast. So I wanted to take some time to kind of talk about that a little bit in this episode about my own individual journey, but also from a more global perspective. I brought on a guest today, Zadia Murphy, who is, in addition to being a dear friend of mine, also a certified personal trainer who has worked with countless women and men too, people in their journeys towards fat loss, weight management, all of the things that we're going to discuss today. So, I like to bring in a professional, if you will, because I'm not one. And then also, she is a reality TV star. If you might have seen her on one of these shows. Okay. So I think it's important for us to have a little groundwork because, again, my purview is just mine. And so thank you for being here, Zadia. I
Thank you for
appreciate
having
you.
me. Yes, I'm excited about
Yeah.
this conversation.
Yeah. So if y'all don't know Zadia, for a long time, Zadia has been one of those friends that when you ain't got it together, you know what I'm saying? Like when you don't put that weight on you, you see what I'm saying? Like you got that grandma that for me is my grandma passed. You got that uncle, that daddy, that somebody that's gonna be like, you sure putting that weight on, yeah.
I'll be like, is everything okay?
Everything is not okay. Okay. If it was, I wouldn't be in this disarray.
It appears
But
that way. It appears that way. You want to talk
uh,
about it? Like, let's.
yeah, it's
How
like
can I
you
help?
good.
How can I help? How can I help?
No, but I feel like Zadie, I feel like with you, my conversations with you, especially when I was in a place where I was biggest or I was whatever. First, I don't want to talk to you because I already know. I don't even want to talk. And secondly, the conversations always come when you feel some resolve about doing better. You're like, what, Zadie, I'm gonna get my shit together. I am going. It's gonna be the new year or like whatever it is. But these last 2 years for me, I will say, I like to explain to people, especially when it comes to our journeys to self-love, that coming home to your body is such a big part of the journey for a lot of people because we like to think about weight as separate from our mental wellness and that's separate from our spiritual wellness and like all of these parts of us being separate. And so I like to emphasize to people that don't have a full awareness yet of the connectivity between all of these things in our lives. And so that's part of the reason why I wanted to have you on because I feel like you see this firsthand in the work that you do. So how does it look for you, like trying to help people connect those dots when we have been raised in Western belief systems that make us think that all these things are kind of separate from each other?
Yeah, it definitely takes a while to help people shift their mindsets and to understand that the mind, body, and spirit is connected, and that what how you are feeling in one area of your life is most likely happening because of something that's going on in your body. So a lot of people will say, "Oh, I get a lot of headaches. Oh,
Mm,
I'm not able to sleep well at night. I feel super stressed." And all of that stuff is happening and stemming from the gut or from just
mm,
not drinking enough water. Your body, these are warnings that your body's giving you about something that can end up being a lot um, worse than what you're experiencing right now. So it really does take a while for people to understand the connection, understand that
mhm,
it's not, this is not you and in your body. It's like you
mhm.
are one. And
That's so good.
once they realize that, it's, I'm not eating differently because I just want to get smaller. I'm eating differently because I want to feel more energy. I want to be able to wake up before my alarm clock. I want to be able to get up the steps without huffing and puffing. Like once they start realizing that changing their lifestyle will go, like it will stem across the board, then that's when we see the most success.
That's good. So when I think about my journey, for me, it's like I remember, like for me, there are circumstantial things that I can point to that it's like when I was started in my PhD program, like it kind of started a little bit like an extra 5 pounds that first year with coursework. And we were working full time, but we were all in our PhD coursework together. And as we progressed and the stress got heavier, like especially down the dissertation mode, it was like, I mean, I at least multiple times a week. I was at UT Arlington, is right by Taco Casa. Like I would just drive through, get that little taco light and that Dr. Pepper, and just sit in the car and be like, I just want to eat so make me feel good before I have to go do this thing that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
It was like this direct correlation between the carbohydrates, the cheese, the sugar, and literally the physical, the biological impact that these foods have on your body in terms of what they release in your brain, and they make you feel good.
Right.
At least in the moment while you eating them. Now, when you crash because them carbs on you heavy,
Yeah.
that's a different story. But for me, I can point to that. I can point to like when I was pregnant with Amari, and then like not gaining a lot of weight. Like I'm gonna cut some pictures in of like when I was pregnant. I still want to be like cute, wear some little dresses and stuff. But right after that, breastfeeding for 6 months, that like being up, not sleeping, like that transition, like just being like, I'm just trying to live. I'm just trying to survive. Canes, I lived right behind the Canes. Canes was right here. And if I was to like walk right here was my townhome. And I would just go. If you on an evening walk, you can smell the fried chicken from Canes. It was that detrimental to my health. And so like I remember these things that I can point to be like, and then I gained another 10, then I gained another, you know what I mean? Those life events that kind of rock you. And I feel like if you have too many of them back to back, you'll look up. And what I felt at some point was just totally disembodied. And I'm gonna be honest, Zadia, you've been my friend for a long time, and I know your weight kind of fluctuated a little bit. I don't know if I ever seen you be big enough to like literally look at yourself in the mirror and feel like I'm a person floating out here looking at myself, but it's not me in that body right there. Like, do you know what I'm talking about?
No, yeah, I have a threshold. Like, I don't weigh myself on a consistent basis, but I definitely I go off of like how my body feels. It's not
Mhm.
necessarily how it looks. It's how my body feels. Like if I'm waking up between the hours of 2 or 4 o'clock in the morning, I know
Mhm.
that my stress levels are too high. If after I eat, I get lethargic and I fall asleep, I start to like, the itis, that
Yeah.
means that something in my diet is not going well with my body. If I'm
Right.
like skin is one of those things that I definitely pay
Mhm.
attention to, but that tells me a lot of things that's going on in my gut. So I don't I'm not attached to like a weight.
Right.
I'm more so attached to a feeling,
Right.
and that's what I try to help my clients get to is that like you something intrinsically is wrong. Like this is not
Mhm.
I'm not supposed to be operating like this. And I do have a lot of conversations with people where they tell me something. I'm like, hey, that's not normal, and
Mm.
is where they like the light bulb goes off in their head. Like, hey, like somebody has told me before, like I can't jump. I was like, that's not normal. Like everybody should be
Let's
able to
not
jump.
normalize that. Let's not normalize this. Let's dig. Let's dig in there. When you say you
Or
can't jump, what are
I
we
can't.
saying
That's
exactly?
not
Not
normal.
real high.
Or something simple as I only sleep for 3 hours. I only take
Mm.
naps. That's not normal. That's not
Mm.
normal. So I like to work around like I started before when I first started training, I was definitely more so about the aesthetics of it all. But as I matured in fitness, I have changed my entire concept of an approach to the overall health of a person and their wellness. Because at the end of the day, people look amazing and still have heart
Mm.
attacks.
Mm. Yeah, that's true.
They
That
still
is
miss
true.
the signs of them
Mm.
potentially having a stroke.
Yeah.
So it's being in tune, and that requires you to be mindful. That
Right.
requires you to be intentional. That requires you to sit still. And a lot of
Ooh.
and in this society where we move so quickly, like everything comes before us. When in reality, if you die, everything's gonna keep on moving.
No, that's so true. That's so true. And for me, I remember getting a wake up call. And so, like, I had Amari in 2019. Maybe by 2020, I feel like I was at my biggest. It was like when you're saying your body doesn't feel good, Like I feel sluggish. I feel like I can feel my booty swishing when I walk, like shoo, shoo. Like I'm just going up the stairs, like shoo, shoo. Like I just don't feel good. And then to look at it, I heard Tamara Mowry say one time when she used to be on the Real, like, who is this person I'm looking at? Like, I don't, this is not me. Like, I don't, this is not how and I think really what it boils down to is not even just about aesthetics, but about your sense of integrity. Like, as a person, I believe I should eat well. I believe I should go and work out and I used to. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I used to be a person up at 4:30. My gym time is at 5. I get it done. I go to work. I did it. And so to not be able to do that or to not have space for that, I feel like for me the wake up call was I went to get just a physical, get my blood work and stuff, and to hear the doctor tell me that I was obese. Like obesity is a disease. I'm looking at myself like, I mean, I know I'm thick and it's a lot going on in these back rows, but are you obese? Like that's a strong classification. It's a disease, first of all. But I feel like nobody is so socially acceptable that people don't really look at it like it's a disease. But I was like, if I take this diagnosis as you got stage 4 cancer type seriousness, knowing all of the things that come from obesity and being overweight and carrying this, especially as Black women, that's a whole nother podcast historically, just taking stuff, putting it down, not dealing with it for ourselves. I was like, what if I just treated like, and that's what I did, because I had a lot of shame around anything outside of diet and exercise. Like, well, anything else is a shortcut, and I just need to, just try harder and da, da, da. And then I got to a place where I was like, okay, what if I just said, fuck all that. I am going to take a by any means necessary approach to getting myself back to a place that I need to be and coming back to my own body. And that's kind of what it was for me. It was that wake up call moment where it's like, oh shit, like obesity, like
this
out.
is a code red. This is a code red. Alarms going off everywhere.
Red alert. For real. It was a red alert.
Everything needs to be focused in this area, and I completely understand that sentiment. I feel like and what I always try to encourage people is like we shouldn't have to get that deep into it to make the changes to our bodies and for our bodies, right? And one of the things that I love to discuss is like it's not what you're eating, it's not just what you're eating, it's what's eating you, is what you're not addressing, what you're not actually like discussing is what you're stuffing underneath your mattress,
what you're
and you're
suppressing.
like, yeah, I'm gonna get back to that later because I don't have time for that. When it's going to manifest in some type of way. So I love that you had that wake up call at obesity, because a lot of people still don't have that wake up call when they start to take the high cholesterol medicine, when they start to take the high blood pressure medicine, especially in your early 30s. Like that is problematic. That's problematic. And it's like you let people tell you what you need to do for your body instead of learning your body, instead of respecting your body. It's really a lack of respect. It really is. Like people will say that they love themselves, but then any and everything they're just stuffing down their face. And it's like, how is that love? How are you respecting this temple that God gave you, this one temple that God gave you to handle?
Yeah.
How are you saying that that's love?
That's tricky because for me, I think around 2022 was when I started my individual therapy, and just listening to you talk about what's eating you, it's like I have been equating that as the start of my 2022 as the start of my weight loss journey. It's been like 2 years now. So now like people see me now and they'll comment and be like, oh sis, what you been doing? I need to do something. It's like, I've been doing something for 2 years now. And I've been sharing, bits and pieces. This is the first time in this episode I'm going to kind of lay out like how my journey like unfolded. But it's like now listening to you say that, I'm connecting the dot to, and that's when I started my individual therapy. And a big part of my individual therapy was getting past all the suppression, like all the shit that I just put down, and like taking it out, opening the top of that jar, dump that out and let's deal with it. And like, that's what I felt like my therapy was. And now this session, we're going to take that down. I'm like, oh, no. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about Bruno. Just leave that over there. Very good. I have to go work. Like, I don't got time to be digging up all this stuff and talking about stuff and childhood trauma. I got work to do. Like, baby, I'm busy. I'm booked.
Yeah.
I'm busy. And
Yeah.
it was like, okay, now let's talk about that.
Right.
And so many things that are connected.
And the reality is how you present yourself also affects like just the way people perceive you in life. You know, so it's like we could be busy and we could be out here trying to do all the things, but like the people perceiving you are understanding that you don't like they feel like they can treat you any kind of way because you're treating yourself any kind of way.
That's yeah.
You're
And deprioritizing yourself.
You're lowering your vibration every time you go out and you're not taking care of yourself. People can sense that.
Yeah. And I think I can understand that better on the back end because I had to go through a journey of taking things off. There was a lot of work I had to do about my parental relationships and my parental trauma and dealing with that and dealing with the dissolving of my marriage and then my kids transition out of that and like all of these things, all these major life changes that took place. But a part of that for me was looking at this diagnosis of obesity and then being like, whatever I had shame around, this shortcuts is like, if I just say fuck all that, like I'm going to get rid of this weight. I remember the first stop I thought for me was going to be, I'm going to get 360 lipo. So I liquidated an asset, sold a townhome that I had gotten a long time ago, got the equity out, and I was like, one of my investments is going to be into myself. And I'm going to go get this surgery. And I don't care who think it's a shortcut or it's blah, blah, blah. All I know is this wasn't made like this before she came out of here. And now it's made like this. And I want to put it Humpty Dumpty back together again. But the doctor was like, you have to have your BMI to a certain level before you can even get the surgery. And so I'm like, okay, like, tell me what to do, right? That's what people want, Zod. Like, people want to, like, give me a quick plan or something. And he was like, read this book. And so the book for today's episode is The Obesity Code by Jason Fung. And I was like, okay, just get to the part where I'm busy. I'm still busy, baby. I ain't got time to be reading this about fat stuff. I know it's wrong. Don't be fat.
It does start slow.
give me the plan. They was like, read the book. So you have to read the whole book, and then at the end, he give you the plan. But basically, he talks about the commercialization of wellness, weight loss, all this stuff in America, basically how we have associated everything about remaining healthy and whole with, I need to buy a gym membership, I need to pay for this, I need to get that, it's keto, I need to buy only keto, go to the store, what got a keto label on, like all of these things that end up generating more money basically instead of going within, like you're saying, like finding different ways to get attuned and aligned with our body. So for me, I had to read that whole book, which shifted the game for me because as a researcher, Zadia, I feel like a lot of times if I work with, like, let's say I work with you, you're a personal trainer, you're great. As a researcher, I need to understand things before I can commit to them. Even when I'm trying to commit, if I don't understand a deep and meaningful way, it ended up just being bankrupt for me. So anyway, his plan boiled down to this, Zai. We need to focus on what we eat and when. We need to focus on what we eat is basically eat whole foods. Stop eating all the sugar.
Yeah.
And empty carbs. I was like, yeah, we knew that though. Didn't we know that?
Yeah, we did.
And then when you eat. So then he talked about how much food we eat. So basically he recommended the intermittent fasting. I started intermittent fasting in 22. I eat between 11 and 6. 11 and 7, really. And that has helped me as well. So really for me, it's about like you said, finding what works for you that you can commit to. What I couldn't commit to was a lot of that. You only got 3 ounces of this and 6 ounces of that. And it's like every meal. And that was a lot for me. But now I can kind of eyeball, like, how much I need to eat of things. And so that was kind of like the first step for me was reading that book and understanding that recommendation and then trying to get my BMI down before I could even have plastic surgery, which I thought was going to be a quick fix, but clearly.
Well, the quicker it comes, the faster it goes. So that's one thing that I'm not against plastic surgery. I say get it how you get it, but it's always going to come circle right back to lifestyle. It's gonna circle right back around. I tell people all the time because they feel like, I'm about to go get this. I'm like, okay, well, call me after, because it's coming right back to me. You have to change how you live. Like you can temporarily fix things, but if you don't permanently change things, nothing's going to change.
That's true. That's true. Because even with plastic surgery, there are these stories of people come out of it, and then a couple years later,
Look the same.
yeah,
Or go back in for a second, 360 liposuction, or like now it's like it's an addiction because they're chasing after that body that they want, but they're unwilling to do the things that need to be done to keep the body. So
yeah.
I always just preach, because I'm a woman of modern times. I mean, I haven't personally got anything done because that's not my ministry. But I am very much so understanding it is not my life. So live how you want to live. But what I always encourage people before they, go and visit a doctor, make sure that you are ready to change. Make sure that you are really facing the things that need to be faced in your life. Like you need to be discussing these things with yourself. Like
But
why?
Zadia, I think people are looking at the body, like we already said. Like if I just get this body, my thing was
Not gonna make you happy.
my first stop was the therapy. Like let's unpack, because it's not just about the body and the weight. It's about how did I go from a person that prioritized myself, that I used to get up at 4:30 in the morning, I used to go at 5, I used to prep my meals, and I used to I used to have my gallons of water. I was the joke of the teachers because Stephanie is gonna warm her food up in the microwave and go eat it and did. Like, how did I go from being that to being this? What in the interim has caused me to deprioritize myself? And it was like, and I feel like until you do that work of unpacking, which a lot of times is situational. Of course, I had gotten married since then, which that didn't really change it as much, but having the kid and being married did. Because then, well, if that person wants to go to the gym in the morning and you want to go in the morning, but somebody got to stay with the kid, well, then they end up going in the morning and you're not a PM working person because you're exhausted at the end of the day. What does that mean? Now you don't work out? You know what I'm saying? So it's like all these circumstantial things that it's like, if you don't do the work of unpacking and prioritizing yourself, what I say is it's nobody else's responsibility to prioritize your needs but you. And figuring out how to make that happen, it's a lot. And sometimes I think we can project on other people. Well, my kids, they have to so I can't. Or, well, my husband needs to go in the morning, so I can't. Or like all these other things. My boss said I gotta, like nobody's job is gonna be like, I think everybody should come an hour later and get a good workout in before we start this work day. It's like nobody's gonna care. And for Black women especially, I feel like we can be obese, have the most fibroids, have the worst menopause. We can, all these statistics if you look at the data points. But if we have given of ourselves to the community, to our churches, to all these other things, Mommy of the Year awards, all these things, people be like, well done. And you just over here half dead and just struggling. Ain't had a vacation, ain't
making it.
It's hard. It's hard, man.
Can't even stand up without bending over and grabbing onto something.
It's a lot. And they will applaud you and give you an award of applause.
Yeah, I understand our plight, and this is why I just push the message of prioritizing yourself. And it's gonna look different for everybody. Me, I'm childless, so I can adjust my schedule how I need to adjust it to meet my needs. But in a relationship, a lot of times women especially sacrifice themselves for the greater good, when they need to understand that in order for the greater good to happen, you have to be your best self.
That's so good. That is so good.
It's going to come back to, I'm not feeling well. Some type of way you're not going to be feeling well. And it's going to manifest in different ways in that relationship. So I constantly just push my clients and the women I speak to just really prioritize themselves, to find their voice in wherever they are. If it's at work, if you know that you need a 30-minute break to take a walk, to decompress.
Girl, I used to take a nap
Do something.
in my car, under my desk.
Girl, do something.
Baby. Because y'all ain't going to run me down.
People will sit and eat through lunch and work through lunch. And I'm like, why would you not feed yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, it really is about prioritizing the job over you, prioritizing everybody and everything. And so for me, when I did get my BMI down, I went and I thought, okay, I'm gonna get this 360 lipo, and they're gonna go all the way around the middle, up to my bra, down to my waist, all the way around. It's gonna be how I jump started. I mean, this is the next level, because this is not me starting. This is me going to the next part, phase 2 of my journey. Right. So phase 1 was I read the book. I started modifying some things. Shit, really, step 1 was the therapy, but I ain't gonna. And then the next phase is, okay, I go to have the 360 lipos out. I'm so excited, and I paid them my money. Child, done almost died in the 360 lipo. So
you almost died.
I know, that's what I'm telling you now in the middle of the episode. Child, they got some of the front part done and woke me up. And so when they woke me up, there's a nurse sitting in there waiting for me to come to. So I know something is wrong because the way she's looking at me. And I'm like, I'm out. So I didn't know, like, is it done? Like, am I skinny now? And she's like, there were some complications at your surgery. And I'm like, what complications? Apparently, I had an irregular heartbeat in the middle of, and if it happens for too long, they have to bring you back to make sure you don't die. And so they bring me to, and they had done like some of the front a little bit, did get the back. I was like, oh my God. Like, I took the time. I was here fully committed to say, forget what anybody thinks. I'm going to do a thing. And then pay my money. And then folks tell me you could try again in about 6 months and we'll get a little discount, but you have to pay again. Absolutely not. At this point, now, Zadia, listen, on the way home, I am sobbing. Like in the car, I'm like, my life, I always have to go the hard way. I can never get a shortcut. I just want it. I'm just losing it all the way home because I'm just like, damn, can I catch a break?
Yeah.
But that was phase 2 when I tried to get 360 lipo. But still, after that, I had to heal. And then I just went right back into what I had already started. I was doing my intermittent fasting. I was going back to the gym as I healed. But all along this way, though, from 2020, all this through line for me has been, and I'd love to hear your input on this. No matter where I am in what I'm doing, I started a yoga practice, individual yoga and meditation in my living room, of course, during COVID 2020. Where I found somebody on YouTube that I love, the Black woman. I'm gonna cut her in here and show her YouTube page. I started with her in the living room. Some about her voice, her presence, how she tied the yoga practice in with her Christianity just made me feel like in the morning, it's a great way to start. And so I had started that already. I had been doing that since 2020 in the mornings, and I just started doing that as a through line. But just coming into my body, one thing about yoga and meditation, I feel like you said, we're all rushing around. It gives you an opportunity to come home to being, to sit in your body. I call it prayer in motion. I start my yoga, and just as I'm doing it, I'm just saying, thank you, God, for this body. Thank you for allowing me to have this day. Give me this day my daily bread. Allow me to come into this moment, this day. Because we can think about all the things we have. It's like, give me this day and this. Thank you for this moment, for these arms. When they get shaky, like, thank you, God, for these arms. And all the things. And now my practice is coming along, but I see now how us not having that, especially in Western traditions, that time, that like these opportunities that other people value in some other cultures to just drop into your body has been transformational, like as a through line from 2020 to now for me. You ever get into any yoga or mindfulness practices that work out for you, or any of your?
I'm actually a certified yoga instructor.
Bip. So there's that. I never knew that, Zadia.
Yeah. So during the pandemic, I got my certification while we were in the house, and I during the pandemic was like one of the best times. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, we're stuck in the house." I was like, "Oh my God, I'm stuck in the house." Like, I can do all the things. So
very good.
I've always been I've always practiced yoga in some type of capacity, whether it be hot yoga or just incorporating it in my fitness journey to have the multiple ways of training. But yoga and breath work for me are just ways for me to return to me, right? I am one of 7 children in my family. We have a big family. I have a lot of friends. I feel like I give myself to everybody. Like I'm always handing out pieces of me. And at a certain point, I started running into a wall where I gave so much and I had nothing for myself. So yoga was one of those ways. Yoga, walking, even just sitting still in the morning after I do my daily devotion is one of those ways for me to come back to myself, for me to ground myself. And I truly believe that even if you're not able to start in the gym, even if you're not like, you should take 10, 15 minutes a day to just be still, to just stretch, to just move your body and just feel like the blood flow through your veins and your fingers moving, your toes moving, because that really does just allow you to come back to yourself, to give yourself a gift of that, even if it's just a small amount of time. So I feel like yoga, and it's controversial. The people say that it's the devil.
It ain't controversial to me, and it ain't been the devil.
Either.
It ain't been the devil for me. I don't know about them people.
Lately, I've been running into that conversation. I'm just like,
oh, okay. Girl, I don't run into that conversation. I'd be like, oh, very good. Y'all do what you will. But baby, ain't nothing brought me closer. My yoga practice and meditation practice, when I say have brought me closer to God by way of coming into my body. And I feel like we get so disembodied because like we need to hop up, especially, if we for those of us that have littles in school, the first thing you do when you hop up, if you start, okay, I got to go make their breakfast, get up. When I tell you, and there's still days that I have to do that because I might wake up late or I might have missed whatever. But if I get up an hour before my kid wakes up, I ain't doing yoga for an hour. I'm only 15 to 20 minutes might be the actual yoga, right? But for me to wake up, brush my teeth, kind of get, into my flow, do my yoga and meditation. When I go to wake her up, I'm fully embodied. I'm not hustling. I'm good morning. I'm gonna sing her little wake up song, give her some kisses, tickle her out of her sleep. And I'm going to show up in a way that I'm fully present and embodied, as opposed to rushing and bustling. And so I think for people that have a over spiritualized critique of yoga and all of this stuff, I don't really get into it, just because for me, the Bible says, a tree by the fruit it bears. And if a practice in my life is making me be still, slow down, come into my body, be more mindful, be more kind and patient as a result of doing it, I think it's more aligned with Christian practice than a lot of the sitting on the internet spewing divisive rhetoric. So I just don't even get into it. However, so for me, I think that part of my journey has kind of been the through line throughout. People are like, oh girl, what are you doing? And it's like, I'll show sometimes like pictures of me if I do rooftop yoga or something else that's cute. But majority of the time I'm doing my yoga right here in the living room. It's nothing cute to look at. But getting into the 4 corners of my mat, it signals to my body and to myself, we're doing something for us. And now Amari has her practice in a little kitty mat where she there's an app on the tablet, and they tell them like, okay, put your left hand in the heart and put your right hand, and she's developing her own little practice, and it's beautiful to see. But at the end of the day, it's like I see how that sense of mindfulness and prioritizing myself has been a game changer, even if I don't get to the gym. Like that coming into breathing and like you said, getting your blood flowing the first thing in the morning and getting centered, it just draws a different type of energy to you for the rest of the day. So that's been a big part of my journey. Now, the last part of my journey that I want to share, because people be asking me, was when I got to my last 15 pounds, then I incorporated a weight loss drug for the last 15 pounds of my weight loss journey. Now, I'm not going to say the name of the weight loss drug that I tried, just because, first of all, I'm not a medical professional. Don't be going to nobody saying, oh, I heard, go to your doctor and have a conversation about your needs and let them recommend something to you. Secondly, they don't pay me. What I will say is it wasn't Ozempic, just because I feel like people that's like the default thing going around right now. But Ozempic. So, but anyway, for me, I spent a couple of months a few months at that point, like, I want to target this at the last 15 pounds. And that was in conjunction with a doctor that I was working with that recommended that. And so now I think it's a bigger thing for me, Zadia. It's like losing the weight is a big goal. It's like, okay, I'm gonna do this. And now I was telling you a little bit earlier, it's even trickier when you feel like you get to your goal weight to be like, now I got to maintain it. I done bought these clothes. They a size small. I'm gonna get rid of my big girl clothes. I got a pile of clothes right now. And I was just telling Tisha the other day, like, I got some anxiety around my big girl clothes. I'm like,
Gotta go. We're not going back.
the pressure is so real. I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I should be.
But you built enough. You've done enough work to trust yourself, and that's what it comes down to. It's like you have to trust yourself. You have to continue doing what you were doing before. That and that's another reason to start something that can be sustainable, right? You don't want to start anything where you like bread and cut all bread out of your life, and it's like that's not sustainable. Or you like you like a cheese pizza every now and again. You talk about no dairy. That's not sustainable, So it's really finding the sweet spot for yourself and continuing that for the rest of your life. I know exactly what numbers I need to go back to in order to get to keep the body I want, to maintain my body, right? So as soon as I start getting a little off, right, I'm like, oh girl, you done ate out a couple too many times this week. Go ahead, go to the grocery store, cook dinner, like love on yourself. Those are ways that you love on yourself.
Yeah, and you feel it in your body too. You know what I'm saying? Like you start to feel that in your body. So, like for me, I like the part when you said about the pizza because for me it's Wingstop, and since forever, people that know me, like even like way back, like I like a good Wingstop lemon pepper meal. Now, where I am in my big age, I could only eat 3 of the wings, a little bit of fries, and then I have the celery and the carrots. But really, I think it's just about the flavor at this point that I like. But it's just the fact of I still once a week I'm gonna get my Wingstop. I'm gonna have them 3 wings and that's a part of my thing, but also I like to encourage people that when we're talking about self-love and prioritizing yourself, that especially when you have a lot going on, I like to encourage you to create routines that sustain you. So for me, that means prepping my meals on Sunday. Well, guess what else that means? I need to grocery shop Friday or Saturday. Because if I try to grocery shop in the same day and prep done, I'm exhausted and I cannot. So for me, I prep 4 bowls, and that's my lunch. It'll have like a little bit of jasmine rice or sweet potato, baked sweet potato. It'll have like a cup of protein. Well, I'm trying to go to a cup. It'd be a lot of meat. I'm supposed to up my protein now. I'm like, and then I'll put like a vegetable in there, and those are my bowls for the week. So that I don't have to do it. Like I keep some particular protein shakes that I like the taste of and fresh fruit and things like that. And so like even if I am going to maybe have lunch out because I had a meeting somewhere or like whatever, I'm prepared in my refrigerator to eat well. And if I eat something fat, it's usually outside. I'm not gonna buy fat stuff at the grocery store and keep fat stuff in I already got snacks for my kid in her thing that I'll be tipping like do. Get some fruit snacks.
Get that stuff out of your house. If it's easily accessible, you're going to do it. So things out of your house. One of the things about coaching is I help people find solutions to their problems, right? So in this realm. So, you like to eat your bowls, and I tell people it's a lot of different ways that you can meal prep, right? You can go grocery shopping, you can cut up all your ingredients, make sure they're all clean, and just put them in your refrigerator and have ingredients to put together for different dishes if that's the type of person you are. You can prep for a couple of days, freeze, and then pull that out and cook for the next couple of days. You can do that type of stuff. So it's really learning yourself, and that's why you have to ditch the rules and get into relationship with yourself. It's rules versus relationship, right? The rules, they're gonna give you bullet points to hit. And it's easy to hit those bullet points for a while, but after a while, it's like, I'm tired of this. I don't want to do this no more.
No, that's true.
We are meant to break the rules, right?
Yeah.
But when you get into relationship with yourself, know, like, hey, this for me to be my best self, for me to really show up as my whole and complete self, for me to be the best person for my kids, my husband, my job, the mothers of Jack and Jill, all the things.
All the things.
The sororities, the fraternities, whatever. You have to be in relationship with yourself. And then the thing about it is how you are in relationship with yourself spills into the relationships with other people.
That's so true,
How you
Zadia.
do one thing is how you do everything. You'll start seeing
Yeah.
an uptick in all the areas of your life once you start treating yourself a lot better, and once you start really like putting that time in to learn who you are, to learn like, hey, I don't really like chicken like that. I don't like broccoli. So they say eat broccoli. What's the alternative? I need to find something that I enjoy.
Right.
That
Yeah.
that takes time to go and find those things and to understand and learn like, hey, this is the type of protein shake that I appreciate. This is this. I'd rather not do protein shakes. I'd rather just do more. I'm a beef girl. That takes time. So the fitness journey is not a race; it's a marathon. And I want everybody to understand that it took you 2 years to get here, right? What they see is they see that you were Stephanie back then, and now they see you show up in a video on your story, and you all slim, the collarbone is out,
baby, the collarbone,
the cheek, and they're like, that's good.
The collarbone is collarbone. I'm just gonna say, I'm just gonna say this because I was just like, collarbones are sexy. Mine was in there. It was still in there. It just had to come back out. But this is what I'm gonna say because I gotta wrap up. But I wanted to say to your point that when you stop playing about yourself, you will require people to stop playing about you as well.
Absolutely.
And what I have realized is as I've been going on this journey, becoming more self-aware and more self-conscious and more mindful about how I handle myself, why I wasn't prioritizing myself, how I wasn't prioritizing myself. Two things. One, as I do start to do that, I have less tolerance for people that want to play in my face because I don't have it to give you. I am trying everything I can do to keep myself above water and be the best version of myself for me and then my kid and then my business. And it's like anybody that's trying to come and sidetrack you and not add value to you, you're going to lose patience for people playing about you when you stop playing about yourself. And so that's been a big one for me. And the second one has been that the more you get embodied, for me, my experience, again, I'm just an individual. I haven't been working with clients. The more I get embodied, I get connected to myself. I start to love myself better. The more I get into this body and I see myself in the mirror, the more I realize that I become more fully embodied. And when it's time to connect with somebody, because she ain't dealing with the streets, I am going to be showing up differently for somebody in relationship because I look damn good to myself. And so I'm like, I can, ain't nobody to rub up on me right now. But when it's somebody that's, even when I think about myself and how I feel about myself, and it's a gift to me, it'll be a gift to somebody else because I am fully embodied. And what that's going to mean in terms of my sensuality and me seeking and allowing pleasure, that's going to be another door that's unlocked that wasn't when I was at my biggest because I didn't feel sexy or I didn't feel confident in my own body. And so, child, it's been a journey.
I feel like we need a part 2 because I have this full theory of fitness and the correlation with sex and just like
Zadia. Okay, listen, we need a whole part 2 about, and maybe the part 2 is about opening up your chakras because I'm telling you, my yoga practice has opened up my chakras, and it's a whole nother conversation for another day. And I just be like, all I'm gonna say is pleasure abounds, baby. That's all I'm gonna say. And I be glowing and stuff it from my skin.
I mean, it's the endurance as well. But listen, I just I just want to stress that your relationship with yourself is the most important relationship that you have. And oftentimes we take that for granted. And my grandmother, God rest her soul, she just passed away this past December. The one thing when we were talking while she was in the hospital, she said the one thing that she regrets was not taking her health seriously, not prioritizing her health. When the doctors told her, oh, you got to take this medicine immediately, she was like, I should have started walking. I should have started taking care of myself. I should have slowed down on the foods that are good, yes, but I didn't need to eat that every day. I didn't need to indulge. I had enjoyed it myself enough. It was time for me to take care of myself. And I did not do that. And for years they warned me. And now I'm here, right? So I watched the women in my family suffer because of indulgence, you know, and the lack of respect for their bodies, and you know, just wanted to always not want to think about it, not wanting to put it make it a priority. And it has made me sad to see like where they are now, or what has happened. So I'm really big on just like, listen, you have to prioritize this. You don't want this to be the regret of your lifetime when you're sitting on that in that hospital room, and it's like you did so much about it. And we don't dictate what's going to happen to us, but we can do our part. And your part is to put your best self forward every day.
And to have grace for yourself in the process. Yes, maybe you fell off the wagon yesterday, but that don't mean it's all a wash. You know what I mean? Like, yes, you can still get up, do it, and then have grace with yourself. Because I look now at that picture of myself when I was 188, 190 pounds, and I feel like, thank you, sis, for like, you got me through that time.
She was doing the best that she could do.
You got me through that time. I had never been at that place in my life, and like I could never have imagined all I was dealing with and suppressing and trying to just keep trugging through, and all the weight I was literally carrying emotionally, mentally, all of that. And so I give thanks to her for carrying us through something that a time that some people didn't even make it through in their lives. And then now I offer her, I got it from here, sis. Like, I got you. Like, we're not gonna ever be deprioritized again. We're gonna always make sure that we are that we're loving ourselves first, and then holding space for ourselves. And this is the last thing that I'll say. Nobody is coming to save you, and it's your own responsibility to do it. It doesn't matter if you're single, if you're in a relationship, if you're married. Nobody's responsibility is it to hold space for you. Then you now, if you happen to partner with somebody that does, great. But nobody's kids is gonna be like, Mama, I think you need the morning off to go see about yourself. Nobody's, you know what I'm saying? Like, so understanding and taking it from that perspective, like, by any means necessary, I have to prioritize myself now. And that includes, my mind, body, and my soul. And then like just making a decision to start today. And I look forward to seeing your journey. And now, if you would like to get more information, we have upcoming community events. We're starting our first yoga and sound bath event. I wish you could come, Zadia, but you are in DC. But here in Dallas, we're gonna have our first Black Girls Do Yoga Y'all event, and that's gonna be 45 minutes of yoga, 15 minutes of sound bath. We're gonna start with a little breath work. If you haven't done breath work or sound bathing before, I'm just gonna encourage you to come. I think a lot of times when physical activity is involved, people feel like it's competition because we're used to doing team sports and stuff. But yoga is so individual that everybody's practice is their own. And nobody is, oh, well, I'm not stretchy enough, so I don't want to go and be embarrassed. And when I tell you, it's going to be all levels, vinyasa flow. Come, connect, know that it's a safe space for Black girls. Every time I go do yoga, Zadia, it don't be no Black people. Most of the time, like when I be on vacations and stuff, wellness resorts, I'll be the only or maybe one other Black person. So I'm trying to create a space of community and hold it for our wellness where we can feel comfortable in the space, where the music is to our liking, where the sisterhood abounds. And I hope that if you are available, that you will come. So check out the link, because depending on when you're listening to this, we'll have an upcoming event for you to join. And so thank you so much, Zadia, for joining me.
For having me.
Yeah, we're going to do that part 2 probably next season about unlocking them chakras and the connectivity between, what I'm saying? It's a vibe. So we'll do that. Until next time, y'all take care of yourselves. Namaste, y'all.